Hey everybody, Steph and Jared from the Shorts and Hoodies team back here today to do a little bit something different, a review, but of a TV show, of a TV series that both of us have watched. Dash is not with us today for two reasons. One, he can't be here, and two, he's not a huge fan of fantasy. Sorry for outing you there, Dash. If it has elves, Dash, not a fan. So sorry, buddy, we're calling you out there a little bit. But us fantasy friends are here to talk about The Witcher, which we both have seen. So, Jared, we'll just start off real quickly. Your quick thoughts about season two, season one. What have you liked about The Witcher so far?
I like that season one confused me pretty heavily when I first watched
Mm-hmm.
it because I didn't know that we were time traveling
Oh
between
yeah.
everything. That was kind of confusing. I've read a lot of hate about season two. That season two was kind
Mm.
of like it like the first couple of episodes really swayed from the movie and they did a lot of things differently. I like kind of the fact that they deviated slightly from the game and the books and everything else like that. I mean, overall, like as soon as I knew Henry Cavill was in it, and as soon as I watched the
Yeah.
first few episodes of season one, I was instantly hooked. Like I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I binged season two in 2 days, and that was only because I had to sleep.
Oh.
So I don't know. I don't know about you, but that's my takeaway.
We did not binge it in 2 days. We did take it at two episodes at a time. So it was like what, 4 days? Is it 8 episodes, something like that?
Hmm.
So yeah, graduated. But then I was the same sort of thing. Once we watched episodes one and two, the next night I had to watch two and three and four. Then the next night I had to watch five. It's just like I have to get through this season because I am a big fan of. When the show first came on, first season, I had only played the games or the
Okay.
game Witcher 3. I'd only played Witcher 3 and I played a lot of Witcher 3. Finished all the DLC. I loved everything about it. I love fantasy. I'm a Lord of the Rings fanatic, so I love fantasy anyways. And just the way that in Witcher 3, the fact that Ciri kind of played on Snow White and the Seven Dwarves a little bit on the
Hmm.
island, I was like, oh, okay, this fantasy world is very much a takeoff of traditional Northern European fantasies. Oh, that's cool. That's awesome. I figured it might be it. I knew it would be something awesome when so many people were saying Witcher 3, holy crap, that's the greatest game ever. And when I played it, oh, I get it. Yeah, I get it immediately. This is really fun. And the show, I was like you, very excited to see it because, yeah, Henry Cavill. One, the game that I loved, and two, Henry Cavill. Like,
Yeah.
boom. Yes, please. Yes, yes, yes. Uh, and it's a great choice for Geralt too. One, for the show to get a lot of pop, right? Like it already has some pop that it's The Witcher, but now it's like, oh, Witcher with that guy who we really want to be Superman again someday.
He
Perfect,
does. He
perfect
does
marriage.
do like a really good superhero. Like I just it's so weird because and I love the fact that he's like a legit true gamer. Like, did you watch him build his PC?
I am a red-blooded female. Of course I did.
Isn't I think it's funny because even he's like, oh, I put it upside down. And you're like, dude, you're just like me. I jack something up too. Like I just think it's
Yeah.
so hilarious that you're looking at this man and you're like, how are you Superman? You're Geralt of you're this you're this beast with a beautiful mustache in Mission Impossible, and here he's talking about playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm like, I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2. Like I was like, what is he just like me? And it's just I
He's
feel
just
so much like you can relate to him.
he's like you, except if us as a human being had the entire cryptex of Kryptonian DNA, Kryptonian, excuse me, DNA injected inside, it's almost like he is Superman.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
just
he plays Warhammer too, which is
he
really cool.
does.
He does
Him
play
and Tom
Warhammer.
Holland might have a play date too.
Saw that, yeah, saw
Yeah.
that fun interview, and then Joey Beatty, who's in the cast as well, plays Yaskier or Dandelion, as he should be called. He
Hmm.
also is a Warhammer player, so they're like proper nerds.
So, Dandelion, does that come from the game or the book itself?
No, Dandelion's in the books. Yep,
Oh,
yep.
okay.
So, quick disclaimer on the book. So, I have played the game since I watched season one, and since now season two has come out, I have started reading the actual books because I got, same as you, some stories about people kind of dogging on the storyline of season two
Hmm.
because they were book readers. And quick shout out to a YouTube channel that I highly recommend if you want to know more about the Witcher backlore with the games and with the books. And it's Witcher George is the name of the YouTube channel. And I've been listening to a lot of those videos and kind of his not takedown, but just deconstruction of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, yeah, there is some stuff in the story that they did change from the games and the books that is weird why they changed it. Like in season 1, Geralt and Ciri should have met in that Brokilon forest, in that forest with all those dryads and everything.
Yeah.
That's where Geralt and Ciri meet in the books. Ciri has just been like, they tried to marry her off to some prince in Verdun or Verdun or whatever the name of the town is. I can't remember the names of the towns. But they gets lost in the forest. Her squire gets killed by one of the dryads because that's their policy. If you come in their forest, bam, done. She escaped. Geralt finds her being attacked by a centipede somewhere in the Brokilon forest, which is like a wild, super magical forest. And that's how they meet. And they spend time in Brokilon. Some of what happens in the show happens in the books. Ciri does drink the water. I forget what it's called. Water of Brokilon. It's supposed to erase her memory. And it doesn't work on her. In the books.
We know why now. So. And
we know why now in season 2. So yeah, when season 2 was coming up and we're kind of exploring more of Ciri's genetic background, if you will, this elder blood gene that's been passed through her family, which we don't exactly know how that elf gene, since in the first season, I think it's, and in the books, Calanthe, I think I'm saying her name right.
Calanthe, yeah.
Calanthe, yeah. Who's the queen of Sintra, doesn't like elves, doesn't like them at all. But yet her daughter got some elven in her. You know, there's somewhere elven somewhere in her family. So that usually stems from a bad relationship more often than not. But
I mean, didn't she remarry though?
She did remarry, yeah.
So maybe she was married to an elf and it was, who knows. All I know is that when I tried to play The Witcher 3, I couldn't. So I bought the whole package when Witcher first came out, and I again did the same thing because I tried to do what you do. I was like, it's 2 episodes, like I used to do with my ex. We'd be like 2 episodes a night. It's a nice little tradition. It's me and the birds are asleep. I'm like, hey, I've got nothing to do. Oh, it's 2 a.m. and I'm already halfway through the season. I should probably, so like I ended up watching all of Witcher 1, and then I was like, I have to play this game. And I bought the bundle package, I think, for like $30 or something. And Witcher 1 was just, I couldn't play it. I just couldn't do it. Witcher 2, I was like, yeah, okay, which one is the hot contested one? And they're like, Witcher 3 is the one you got to play if you want anything Witcher. I was like, okay. So I get to the tutorial and like press 1. I was like, okay, I can kind of do that. And all of a sudden it's like press 8. And it's like, dude, I can't even remember. I was like, I have enough to remember. And I actually failed the tutorial like 6 times.
Oh no.
I failed the tutorial. So I emailed Steam and Steam was like, hey man, it's a little past a refund. We can't give you a refund. And they gave me an option to, I was like, look man, I suck so bad at this game. Check my data. I didn't even make it past the tutorial. And then Steam was like, your refund has been processed. I was like, thank you.
Oh, no. You got a pity refund.
I got a pity refund. I was like, I'm sorry, guys. I suck so much at this game. And like, yeah, here you go, bud. And now after playing Witcher 2, or watching season 2, where it's the... oh, God, why can't I... Like, as soon as I think of it, I can't forget it. What is the thing that's coming? The hunt.
The wild hunt.
The wild hunt. You know, I heard, like, I would always, as soon as season 1 ended, I got a website that I go to for all my funnies that I look at, and everyone's like, the hunt. And I'm like, what is this? And so now hopefully I'm going to check to see if it's on sale again, and I'm going to give it another shot.
Gonna try?
Maybe with this, though, instead.
Yeah, it's easier to play with it. Well, I have no idea. I've never played it with a PC. I only played it with Xbox and with PlayStation. So I'm not a PC gamer as much. I'm like you. I can't. The people that can actually do PC gaming with all the different, with the keyboard, World of Warcraft and all that stuff, I bow to you. That I can't. I don't have the dexterity and the coordination to do that. So I have to do a controller. So.
Well, like a simple game like Call of Duty or some of the, like even the Fallout series, I think you'd do fine on, because you're not you're not having to, but like with the Witcher, I felt like it was overwhelming. And I've played games like Ready or Not, where like you have to play with so many different keys. It was just something about the Witcher that I was just like, I can't keep up. Ease me into it like Fallout eases you into it. It's not just like, hey, you're on 3, good luck, have fun. You know what you're doing? It's like, no, I don't.
No, I don't. I have no idea. I'm totally clueless. Yeah, and yeah, it's once you actually get the controls down in the actual controller. I mean, it's so freaking fun to play. I put it up there with the new God of War in terms of like fun to play, like actually do the mechanics. Yeah, it can be a little buggy at times, but the new, CD Projekt Red with bugs. I know, right?
Go figure.
There's some very funny bugs that happen. There's just like one. I remember somewhere in the Skellige Isles, I think there was this one merchant that I kept having. I wanted to offload all my gear that I've gotten in fighting, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept going to him, starting the animation, and then he would start bugging out, and the whole thing would kind of crash, and I'd have to like exit out of, because he just repeat the same dialogue over and over and over again, like a broken record. I did it a few times because it just made me laugh. It was kind of funny. But anyways, where were we going with that, Tam?
Because I talked about Dandelion, but I am curious.
Oh, there we go.
So Jaskier, he had like, why did he bulk so much? Why did he?
Why not? Dandelion's supposed to if he's supposed to be Dandelion, and he is. Dandelion is a very good-looking guy. He gets a lot of ladies. So he's supposed to be quite the ladies' man, quite the charmer of women. Why not be physically buff as well? I mean, he's been traveling around with Yennefer and Geralt in peril. Maybe he decided to get buff to protect himself. I don't know.
Well, since they did tell him to go away, so yeah, no, that makes sense. But that was like
rage push-ups.
Yeah,
you're like, tell me to go away.
I did.
Me kind of doing the hi. Sorry.
That's right. I didn't notice much of a difference from season 1 to season 2. I mean, he looked a little bit gruffer. It did look like there was a story in between there that I would kind of like to know what happened to him.
Sure.
But like,
I don't know if there's much of that in the book. I mean, Dandelion does travel with Geralt quite a bit, but that does happen. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, is it like, does he travel with him consistently throughout the book, or is it
quite a bit?
Okay.
Yeah, quite a bit. What happens in season 1 when Geralt sends him away? I think that does kind of. I've read that story from Sword of Destiny. I think it's what it's called, Sword of Destiny, which is the golden dragon, the guy who looks like a human but can turn into a golden dragon. The end of that. Where Geralt and Yennefer kind of realize that Geralt's wish with the Djinn, if you remember the Djinn episode, yeah, that does kind of happen, where Dandelion, I think, gets somewhat sent away, but I don't think it's to that extent of what they showed in the episode. I don't quite think, because I think there's a story shortly thereafter where Dandelion's back with Geralt again. So I don't know if it took a little bit of creative license with the book story, and I think that's why some book people are a bit kind of upset. Like, I try to think of it this way: like the Lord of the Rings movies, if they had changed really major things, and they changed certain things in Lord of the Rings, right? The elves don't show up at Helm's Deep. That doesn't happen.
Okay.
It's not Liv Tyler that rescues Elijah Wood. It's Glorfindel, which is a totally different 5,000-year-old elf that you read about in the Silmarillion. So they take little liberties with the story. But they're liberties that make sense, right? You can't just introduce a character and then they're gone. So they wanted to have Arwen, whatever. So you have to allow for a little bit of that in this adaptation of the book, right? But I think some book readers are like, the thing with not having Geralt and Ciri meet in Broccolon and having that long time together. That's where they really bond and become father and daughter. And so we've missed that in the show, that time. They're kind of having it now. They had it in the first episode of this season, where they go to meet, I forget the name of the character, Nevelyn.
Nevelyn. Nevelyn.
Nevelyn. Yeah. Played by the great Christopher Hivju. For all you Game of Thrones fans, Torment Giantsbane. Woo! He's so great. He's a great actor. That was a really fun episode, and they have a little bit of bonding time together where it's a bit more dangerous with the Bruxa in the situation there, but they have some of that bonding time, but we've missed a lot of time for these two to really become the father-daughter dynamic that they're really supposed to be in the book.
Now, I can't read books because I fell into that same category there we go, because you're on that side, that you're talking about. Is that because, like, I read a book called Three. It was about a dude with he was schizophrenic and he had three different personalities. His best friend, who was a woman, was in his mind, and then he had some other guy that was chasing him. And like, there's a whole thing that comes down to where, like, he's holding a gun against his head and he thinks it's somebody else. And the cop that's been chasing him this entire time is like, "Oh, you got schizophrenia." And that's the big reveal at like page 400. And in the movie, because the movie was like an hour and a half, just kind of C+ movie that was made out there, and the pacing is just so quick because I'm reading a 500-page book versus an hour and a half movie. Like, and I read super slow too. So when they're like, "Oh, the book is much better," it's like, no, I'm like, Dash, just give me the hour and a half or 2 hours and I'll be fine.
Sure.
And so that's why I don't mind when I hear that they take liberties, because of what you just said, like with Lord of the Rings. You can't just have this random person from book one that should have been part one that you didn't see or read about, and it just would have been like, who the devil is this dude? So now I get it. But what was his wish with the djinn? Was it that they would fall in love? Was that the wish? Or
I don't remember if they say it exactly in the show,
they
but
don't.
In the books, his last wish is that their fates would be intertwined, so that they're fated to keep, seeing each other, I guess, if you want to call it that.
So he's actually wishing to have a consistent person in his life finally, or
He's
because I know
wishing for her to constantly be in his life,
because
specifically.
is Geralt like, because and this is why I'm glad that I talk to people like you, because you're like my Alex on the show. I can talk to him about the lore of all this fun stuff, like. Because Witchers, they don't feel. They're basically, like the special forces in any military. They can hit that switch. Is he different because he feels and stuff like that, or like, because that was something that Trish had mentioned. They're like, you Witchers don't feel. You do, but you don't. So like.
Well, I mean, it's more, they've been subjected to a lot of, they talk about it a little bit in the show, the trial of the grasses, and a lot of these potions that they take to mutate themselves do have some pretty severe side effects.
Okay.
Like infertility, the fact that, witchers are infertile because they are exposed to these high levels of toxins and potions and things. Geralt is like the most extreme of all the witchers. He's able to withstand the most potions and mutations. He's had the most done to him of any witchers, how he's described in the books, which is why his hair turned white and why his cat-like eyes, well, the cat-like eyes I think are pretty normal, but the white hair is what distinguishes him, and it's his distinguishing feature in the show too. Everyone calls him White Wolf.
Okay.
Because he comes from the school of the wolf. I'm gonna nerding
no,
out.
Don't stop apologizing. I love this stuff. If anybody's watching this and they know we're doing a review, they're gonna love it too. So stop apologizing.
Okay.
We enjoy this. We enjoy it.
You got it. So yeah, he comes from the school of the wolf. He's called the White Wolf. He's had the most mutations done to him. He's like the Superman of witchers, if you want to call him that. So he's mutated like Deadpool, right? So they take these mutations. They have accelerated healing. They have night vision. They have underwater breathing. It's the same thing in the game, right? You take certain potions to give you certain powers. Those potions all come from the books for the most part. Some of them might be made up, but
underwater breathing.
Underwater breathing.
Is that a potion or is that just a trait that they have? Because I'm pretty sure he almost drowned in season 1, episode 1, fighting that night.
Yeah. So I think in somewhere in the game, Yennefer gives some sorceress gives you something that lets you breathe underwater. So there's potions that can do it. There are trinkets that can do it if they're enchanted by sorcerers and sorceresses and mages and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I thought that there was something with the witchers where they could make a potion to do it, but I could be totally wrong about that. So book readers can have at me. That's fine. But there's all sorts of fun stuff. Yeah. So we were going kind of with Geralt, why he does feel things even with all of that stuff that he's been subjected to. I think that's probably the most enduring feature of Geralt's character in the books that I think is still here in the show. So while they've adapted all of the stories, I think they've been pretty faithful with what Geralt feels like I think they're pretty faithful. But Yennefer, I almost called her Jennifer. My sister's name is Jennifer. Yeah, what Yennefer is like. They're pretty close, I think, with how she's described or how she is in the books. Ciri, Ciri,
I mean, she could be on her way to what she's looking like in the
could be.
games. I mean that.
That's pretty old Ciri though. In Witcher 3,
Mm,
she's way beyond where she is now in the show, in the games. Like she's in the books, Ciri has gone through to other worlds. She's been to, Avalon. She's met like the Lady of the Lake. She's gone through all these fairy tale sort of things. She meets unicorns, like all sorts of fun stuff that she's gone on because she can, with her elder blood, she can hop worlds. That's why the Wild Hunt wants her,
and that's why she
right?
was able to transport back and forth, even though Yen had lost her powers.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. She
yeah.
has the power to just think
Um,
it and go somewhere else.
I mean, because like they started filming when she was like 17, and now she's
Pretty
like,
young.
and now she's 20. But I mean,
Hmm.
like in the books, how
Way younger. Way younger.
she was
Yeah.
way younger when they picked her up.
Geralt. Yeah. Geralt met her, I think, when she was like 10. Like
Okay.
really, really young. And I don't know how much of the story of the books they're going to do in the show because, as they revealed, these are, this is spoilers, right? We've
Mm,
all seen season 2 at this point.
yeah.
At the end of season 2, they reveal the Emperor of Nilfgaard, Emir von Emrys. They reveal that character is Ciri's father, which
Yep.
we all know when playing the game, but people that don't know the story would be like, "What? He's the hedgehog guy from the first season."
That blew my freaking mind.
Did it
Like
really?
when he
Okay.
was walking when it was walking up, because oh god, the white flame. Yeah, that's what they call him, the
White
white
Flame,
flame.
that's what they call him. Yep.
And
He
like
dances on the graves of his foes.
it was just so interesting because like it's just like the white flame, the white flame, the white. I'm like, who in the bloody devil is the white flame? And then
Hmm.
finally they turn around, he pulls around, and he's like, oh, because she's my, oh my god, it's dad,
Dad.
So like I was like,
Hmm.
and I was like, no wonder he wants her so
Hmm.
bad, but
Yeah.
the thing is like when they get to the Brockland Forest, and okay, so when
Hmm.
they meet outside of the Battle of Sintra, um
When
and
Geralt and Ciri meet up
yeah, when Geralt and Ciri meet up in the woods,
in the
when they go
woods.
looking for Yen, how old was she technically then in the books?
So since she would have been in Brocklon, well, it's such a different timeline than in the books. I'm trying to like match it up.
So like when they met, how old were they in the books?
When they met, Ciri was I think 10. I don't know how old Geralt was.
Okay,
Old as crap.
yeah, he's
Uh,
the oldest Witcher next to
yeah, he's pretty old.
Vesemir, next
Next
to Vesemir.
next to Vesemir. Yep, Vesemir's older. Um, but yeah, Ciri, because they in the show, I think they meet outside the Battle of Sodden.
Oh yeah, the
Which,
Battle of Sodden. Sorry.
yeah, no, it's all right. There's so many battles going on, so many places going on. I couldn't keep it straight myself. I was like, where are we? I don't know. But so there, it's close. I don't know how close Sodden is to Brocklon. They just took a little bit of license with the story, which is fine.
Yeah.
But then I didn't know why Ciri had to go to Brocklon then, other than she needed somewhere to go after her kingdom was burned.
Well, the thing, something was. I bet you any money was the Hunt was calling her to the Force, because
Could have
remember
been.
she's like, I have to go here, and I bet that's
Mm-hmm.
probably what they were trying to do with the books, was
Luring
to try
her.
to like draw people into, oh, this is where they're gonna meet, and then they got a couple extra episodes out of it. Um,
Kind of spread it out.
but
End it with them meeting up,
yeah,
which they could have had it earlier and then had them have time. Because then the reveal at the end of the episode could have been that, or sorry, at the end of the season could have been the episode where Geralt takes the law of surprise from her mother,
Mhm.
right? Then maybe not. I don't know. It would have been difficult to try to have it be some sort of a cliffhanger ending, which I know they want to get people going for the next season. I don't know exactly where they would have done it.
I mean, I like the way they did it, just because they were like you almost kind of realize like partway through, you're like, oh, we're watching two different timelines, and it
Yeah.
was interesting to see them slowly converging, which was really cool. But my whole question is like, if in the books, by the time they get to Kaer Morhen, and
Hmm.
they're like she's really training, but in the books they're like so far ahead with it, um, Are they really going to try to like take maybe a liberty where she does visit Avalon, the Lady of the Lake, and stuff like that? Are they really going to build like season 3 as the build up to the hunt, and then the hunt is going to be there, or do you think episode
Well,
1 and 2 might just be like a montage of her just like doing all these crazy things, and then the hunt starts?
no, the hunt comes in much earlier. Yeah. So I don't know exactly because I haven't read this yet in the books. The specific part where Ciri and Eridan, who's the captain of the Wild Hunt, and Avalok, which is a character you meet in Witcher 3, where all of those characters first come in the storyline. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
quite gotten there yet. I kind of skipped around because I'm doing it audible style. And so I started with Sword of Destiny. I've been listening to Lady of the Lake, or yeah, Lady of the Lake. I don't know why, just that's the order I went in. But in Sword of Destiny, he was just bringing her out of the Broccolon forest and heading towards, I think, another field. I can't remember exactly. But in the third season, I think they're probably going to go more into her elder blood. I think the elves that they introduced in season 2 a bit more will come more into play.
Can't wait.
Yeah, this should be fun. I don't know exactly how they're going to try to adapt the storyline from the books into that season 3. The Deathless Mother, I don't remember that whole storyline. That's pretty much made up. That whole
Really?
Deathless Mother, totally made up. I don't remember that. If book readers, if you know of what they're adapting, leave a comment below, because I don't remember, and I haven't gotten there yet in the books to know that. But I don't remember a Deathless Mother character in the game either. It's just the Crones. Yeah, but if it ends up going somewhere, there's several mystical characters that show up. We see in Witcher 3 a character I'd love to see at some point, which is Gaunter O'Dim. If you've seen any of the videos about that DLC, which is the Heart of Stone DLC, that is a great character that just likes to F with Geralt a little bit. He's kind of Q from Star Trek: The Next Generation, and he's a bit like the devil or Loki kind of a character, kind of a trickster. Great character. But season 3, they're probably going to go more into, if Emir just showed up in the books, there's a storyline where Emir wants to father a child with Ciri. So speaking of Game of Thrones stuff, there's some, and think of how old she would have been at the time. Blech, little gross, right?
That's weird.
Well,
it's weird.
Nobility is a strange breed. Those guys do whatever they want.
Well, I mean, remember that episode with the it was season 1 where he rescued the girl and in the castle.
The Striga?
Mm-hmm. Striga, sorry. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
No, don't worry about it.
Yeah, that was, no, I'm just saying, just remember that was the daughter of the king and his king. Yeah, that thing that I'm trying to say. Yeah, the king and the princess. Mm-hmm. I do have a question for you though.
Yeah.
What is it with the, like, why is it whenever there's a female that is like a crazy creature, like the Striga, and then the bat thing, why are they just always so ridiculously beautiful in any sort of aspect, whether it be their voice, whether, I mean, the Batgirl's eyes were just this brilliant purple, and then like they're just absolutely nightmare fuel after that.
Well, you could call it it's their camouflage that helps them hunt, right? It lures in a victim. It's like an anglerfish with a little lure, like
dangly thing.
Come closer, I'm a pretty girl, you want to come closer to me, and eat you, sort of thing.
that thing, that movement though, coming out of the ceiling, and
yeah,
that was
creepy.
That was not like, that made me feel uncomfortable with her movements. It was just, I was like,
really creepy.
I want to know how they did it, but it was very creepy. It was very, very creepy.
So yeah, I mean, that's the fun part about this show, is that I was talking with a friend of mine who's a big fan of Xena, the Warrior Princess. I don't know if you ever watched Xena back in the day. Did you watch Xena?
Oh, Xena, Hercules, yeah. Oh God, 2 go-tos.
I loved those shows. They were like perfect B movie, but fun and serious and campy and monstery and like all these different things. And The Witcher as the TV show definitely feels like a Xena, Hercules-ish. And I mean that is in a good sense,
Yeah.
because those shows could get cheesy too.
Oh yeah.
But in like even the fact that Jaskier has a banger of a song this season, I toss toss a coin to your Witcher. You're welcome. It's in your head, everybody. That was a great song last season, and it was fun, very catchy. I found it a little bit annoying personally because it's supposed to be a little bit of an annoying song.
Yeah.
But the one this year with Joey Beatty singing the Burn Butcher Burn, whoa, that's a great song. I thought that was a fun way for Dandelion or Jaskier, excuse me, to really show off his bard prowess in the show. That's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be like the most famous bard. He gets led into parties. There's stories in the short stories. He's led into parties just because, oh, it's Dandelion. Will you sing for us? We'll give you free dinner and money and all this stuff because he's so world renowned.
Is he actually singing that stuff?
That actor is actually singing that stuff.
Oh, he's great,
isn't he?
Magnifique. Magnifique.
Great singer.
Yeah, he is.
A lovely tenor voice. It's very pretty.
You know the scene with the rats though, when he was playing with the rats?
Oh yeah.
That was his idea.
Rats. Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was actually his idea to mess with all the rats. Like apparently that whole
cute.
scene is pretty much like it. Like they were just like, oh yeah, Dandelion just or Rescue. Sorry, I want to call him Dandelion now because that's what he's supposed to be called.
He's supposed to be called Jaskier.
But Jaskier's like, yeah, like no, he's like, I made that whole part up. I mean, they were just like, oh, they ran with it because it was so good. It was like, oh, that's nice, that's cool.
It's so cute. I mean, it's also an expensive ad lib because then they have to put in a bunch of CG mice. But hey, if the art is there, they'll spend the money.
I actually almost think that the mice were real. I think they were actually.
The mice were real.
If I remember it correctly, because I saw this was last night when I saw it too. So it was like 2 a.m. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that everything was real there. So.
Wow. Okay. I just assumed some of it was CG'd a little bit. Trained mice, also cool. They trained a bunch of mice.
Oh well, awesome. Like you, what was that movie? The Green Mile.
Oh,
you remember the mouse? Apparently they're super easy to train. They had like 5 of them or something crazy like that. Like there were a bunch of trained mice.
Really?
Oh, and
I mean, I knew there was some real mice in there, but I didn't know how much of that was crazy.
Sometimes practical effects are super cheap and they're just easy.
George Lucas says yes, because that's how Star Wars ended up being somewhat in budget, was all the practical stuff for sure. So getting back to, we talked about a banger of a song. We talked a little bit about Ciri and her elder blood and what we might see in season 3. Anything else you wanted to talk about in season 2 that you liked?
Well, I mean, I like that they got rid of the love triangle right away. I like that
with
Triss
and Yennefer.
Triss, Yen, because I mean, I always thought it was like a square love triangle or a square love thing between Triss, Yen, and Ciri, and then Geralt. But I didn't know that there was like a fatherly figure because I saw the white hair and I saw the Witcher. I was like, oh, okay, so she's just another girl that I was like, all right, whatever. But I do like how they pretty much got rid of that because I remember when I was watching The Walking Dead and that came up. And I was like, that's easily solvable. Like, it's easily solvable. And then they dragged it on for I don't know how long because I quit. I quit watching it. And I was like, it's easily solvable. You just go, look, I thought you were dead, so me and your wife hooked up, blah, blah, blah. You're not. Okay, sorry. I would have been like, oh, yeah, no. You thought I was dead in the zombie apocalypse. Okay, yeah. But, like...
Yeah, it didn't really do that in this show, which is good. And because in The Witcher 3, Triss and Yennefer, it's like 2 diverging storylines. You can either go with Yennefer or you can go with Triss. That's because in the games, so as Witcher 1 starts in the storyline, I don't want to spoil a whole lot, but if they do it in the show, Geralt spends time hunting with the Wild Hunt, and there's a reason for that, which I won't spoil for you.
Okay.
It has to do with Geralt being the best human of all, who's always willing to sacrifice himself for other people. But he escapes the Wild Hunt, and his memory is erased. And so that's how Witcher 1 or 2 starts. And because his memory is erased, he's forgotten all about Yennefer. He meets up with Triss, and they do have a thing.
All right.
So I don't know. In this one, you have to establish Triss a little bit. I don't know if they're going to do that storyline or not. But in Witcher 3, obviously, you can either pick Yennefer or Triss because he was in love with Yennefer. He did have this thing with Triss, which she knew that he loved Yennefer, but did it anyways, knowing his memory was gone. Kind of shady a little bit, but.
Well, I mean, for I mean, if we take a look at the time frame that it's taking place in, for a woman to approach a man back in the medieval times or whatever about something is
Mm-hmm.
like back when it was all about the guys approaching, and it
Sure.
seemed very medieval, and for her to do that, mm. Well, how do you
Well,
feel about
the
Triss
source the
not being?
sorceresses
Mhm.
are very much not your typical ladies, though. They're
Oh,
very
okay.
ballsy. So you
Oh,
just know that.
all right. How did you feel about Netflix taking Yen and like basically making her exactly what she was, but then changing Triss? You know,
In terms of like what she looks
yeah,
like,
her looks.
well, she's got red hair.
Mm-hmm.
The model in the game, yeah, does look a little bit different in terms of her facial structure. But to be fair, I think Anya Chilatra, who plays Yennefer, doesn't look exactly like
Mm-hmm.
the game Yennefer either. She does has she's a very beautiful woman for sure. And
Yeah.
she's got a very interesting quality to her face, and I did like that they had in the first season Yennefer's backstory, um, which that is true. She is part elf. She did have a hunchback and deformity. She was abused by her father. Um, I, I don't know exactly. I don't think she's his daughter in the books either. But Tisaya is able to buy her all that sort of stuff. That does happen in the books, and I'm glad that they did that. I do agree with you in the first season, because I hadn't read all this stuff beforehand. I did get a little lost in where are we in the timeline right now.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, this already happened, now this happened. And yeah, by the end, when you finally figure out that, oh, this story was here and this story was here, and now it's kind of all meeting at this one spot, I went back and watched it again, and I could enjoy it more. And then reading the books, I could enjoy it more too.
Yeah.
It was an interesting way of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It was an interesting way of telling a story, a little bit Tarantino-ish. I don't want to call it that, but
I mean, it's nice to lead through the three things. I mean, I don't really care about when they do looks differently. As
mm-hmm.
long as it's not too, um, like if they're like, oh yeah, this guy was an elf and now he's a dwarf. Like
Right,
that's where it's
changing the
that's where it's
character.
getting a little weird. But like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
as long as they're pretty close to, from what I've noticed, they've gotten pretty close to a lot of the source material. In
Absolutely,
everything.
yeah.
I don't know if Siri does have blonde hair to begin with. I know that it goes.
Does.
She
Yep.
does. Okay.
Very much does. Yep.
I mean, I've noticed that they kind of get a little upset when they change some of the source material for some people, but
Mm-hmm.
then again, it's kind of like, how are you going to find somebody who's so perfect for your character
Mm-hmm.
when they probably just don't exist? I mean, have you seen some of those photos where AI creates a person that's never existed? You know?
No,
Oh
that
yeah, like
sounds interesting.
yeah, like AI takes like a bunch of photos and they put people together, but it's just like, for how many people exist out there, and then like how really we can find somebody in a game, and then you're like, oh, uh, oh, of course, like Henry Cavill, like he would be perfect. He is Geralt of
Mm-hmm.
Rivia, and
Mm-hmm.
just I think as long as the person does a good job in portraying the character, whoops,
Mm-hmm.
that's all that matters.
Agreed.
Yeah. So
If they have the spirit, and I think they do. I think
yeah.
we'll see with this young little Siri how she. I mean, that is probably my biggest concern, is that Siri is supposed to eventually be a Witcher,
Mm-hmm.
like not. She won't take them. I don't think they'll. I mean, in the book, she does not take the mutations. She doesn't need to. She's already powerful enough.
Yeah.
Um, she doesn't take the mutations, but she does do all the training. So what we saw in this season of her on the whatever that contraption was, I don't
The
know if
obstacle
that's
course.
the obstacle course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember if because I haven't gotten there yet in the books. I don't know if that exactly mirrors how her training goes. I don't know if we have a lot of uh, talk about her training in the books to go off of. So they might be taking liberty where they can that isn't already in the books, which is fine, totally fine.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I want her to get a bit more physical, be a bit more believable with a sword. Right now, she doesn't look super believable with the sword, but she's young, so maybe it'll grow into her. Whereas when you watch Henry Cavill fight, I mean, the dude is awesome with a sword. He's quite fun to watch.
Well, did
And
you?
yeah,
There's a YouTube video where he talks about it, like where they've specifically made his blades for him, so that way he can
mm,
wield them that way. He's like, one of his swords is actually a little canted, he says, so that when he flips it upside down, he can hold it better and more. And I'm like, wow.
oh,
I was like, no wonder.
Cool.
And I mean, to what you're talking about, they could just be like, well, Siri, we're going to teach you, and then we're going to film you as we're teaching you, so that way we can see the build up between, okay, this is where she was and this is where she wasn't. The last kind of thing that I think I want to touch on, because I'm curious about this, like how prevalent is the White Wolf, like how much magic does he really use? Like is his use of the spells and the stuff like that?
Signs.
Yeah, the signs,
Yep,
like does he
that's
really use them a
basically
lot?
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, in the books he does use Igni, Axie. And if you play the game, you know all these names. Irden.
Mm.
I have to remember all the names of the signs. Igni is fire. Axie is, I think, the mind disruption. Irden is the trap, so he sets that one for. I did it mostly with like night or not Nightwish. That's a band. Just like the Wraith characters, you set that
Okay.
trap and it kind of degenerates them while they're in that trap. There's all sorts of these, but he actually in the book he actually casts them with his hands. So he has to, if he doesn't have his hands free, he can't cast them. So he can't do anything like telepathy or telepathically or anything like that. Whereas, and I think the same thing happens to Yennefer, where she can't cast her spells because she has her hands tied. So there's something about the physical action. With sorcerers, they're drawing from a source, and it's a little bit different. But yeah, if he can't cast the signs by making the signs with his hands, he's kind of. It's why Witchers use a one-handed sword, because they have to be able to cast signs with the other one. So they're defending whatever, and then casting a sign, and Ard push everybody back, and casting a whatever that sign is called, I can't remember right now, to protect yourself as a shield. Kind of fun. Yeah, but that's the extent. And then the potions that they make is technically magic.
Okay.
Off of alchemical ingredients and things like that. It's technically a brand of magic, very scientific magic. So that's probably why I like this so much. There's a lot of science involved with the explanation of how magic works in this universe. Really fun.
I did like the more magic that was used in season 2. Like I think if I remember correctly, didn't episode 1 pretty much just open up with a fight with with extra magic in it? I was like, yeah, no, that's what I wanted to see. Good. So
yeah, with Nivelin, with his ability to just conjure things out of thin air. That was a really fun episode to start off the season with. It really gave me because it's pretty close, I guess, from book readers have said that it's pretty close to how that story happens in the book. Obviously, Ciri's not there though, so that's a little bit different. But the storyline as it happens, it's really fun. I like when they do the witchery stuff. When he takes contracts and does witcher stuff, that's still my favorite part of the whole show. That's my favorite part of the books. Is he's kind of like a blue collar worker that gets contracts to take out monsters. And that's what witchers are. That's cool.
That's his whole life.
The fun take on the fantasy genre.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's anything you want to wrap up with your thoughts on season 2 or what you're looking for season 3.
I'm interested to see how they tie the hunt in. Because I know it's the best DLC that's out there, and they're alluding to it's that factor. Like I don't like how season 2 was an epilogue to the big bad nasty, and I mean there was kind of the mini stories in between, but I'm just kind of curious how they're going to go from here to the next part. That's really all I'm curious about.
Yeah, how they're going to resolve that people know that Ciri has the elder blood, and if they're going to follow what happens in the book, so they're going to do something a little bit different, so the book readers get to be surprised. Yeah, same here. We'll see how much of I think there's certain things in the original storyline that they're not going to do. We'll see if they want to have Emir try to marry his daughter, or his other super old elves try to make a baby with Ciri, or any things that happen in the books. Who knows?
Weird things.
Weird stuff. The fantasy world can get a little bit weird. But those were our general thoughts. I think if you want to give it a rating out of 10, what would you give season 2 out of 10 in terms of a rating?
9 out of 10. I'm just
9 out of 10.
It's not perfect, but it's just like, because I don't know too much about it, I can't I still get a little confused on things, but I think that's kind of nice that I do. So.
Absolutely. So I have 2 ratings. So one would be book accuracy rating of the storyline that I know, and then the show divorced from the storyline that I know. So the storyline divorced from the show that I know, I would definitely give it a good 8.5 out of 10. It's a really fun show. It's really great characters. They interact really in a really fun way. And we'll see where the storyline goes, even though it is a little bit different than the book. Book accuracy, it's not as there's just a lot of things they changed from the
Yeah.
books that makes a lot of book readers mad, and they're right to be. They love this story and they would like to see this story adapted, and I understand that as a Lord of the Rings fan. So I probably give it more like a 7, maybe even less accuracy, just because they didn't have the Broccolon Forest, which I really liked, and just certain things. But overall, I think it's a really fun show. I think they're trying to do an adaptation somewhat of the story, and I think they are changing it a little bit. As long as they still have the character motivations feel authentic,
Yeah.
I'll still be along for the ride. So we'll say 8.
At least they're not doing what Netflix normally does with something, whereas they alter so much it doesn't even feel like the real thing. So at least they're being as true as they can be to the source material without dulling it down. I guess maybe that's a good way to phrase it. So
it's definitely not dull. It's pretty fun. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, even with the storyline of Ciri being, inhabited by this deathless mother character, which I'm pretty sure does not happen in the books. I have not read it yet. That was interesting. She went through a lot of Witchers, though, so now we have the right amount of Witchers, because we shouldn't have had 20 Witchers when Ciri was there. Should have been way less. But
oh, really?
the Eskel Leshen thing, yeah, that's probably not book-wise knocks it down a point for me, because Eskel is still in Witcher 3, still alive.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why they had to have it be Eskel that was killed. People who have played the games are going to know that. Why? But hey, alternate universe take.
Let's see where they take it. We'll see where they take it.
We'll see where they take it. But anyways, those are our thoughts there on The Witcher Season 2. So we invite you, people that are watching, leave your comments. What did you like? What did you not like about this season, the first season? What do you want to see in Season 3? Let us know all your thoughts down below in the comments. Of course, please like this video if you like us. Please like us. Please subscribe if you really like to hear more about things that we're doing. We've got, trailer reactions. Jared's got his fun Level Up show that's really fun. We've got a news show that happens during the week. And we normally on Fridays have this top 10 movie draft, which this last week we did top 10 mysteries, which was a really fun episode. I thought, Jared, it was a really fun, your choices as well. And then coming up, we've got the top 10 gangster movies. Is that correct?
Top 10 gangsters. Yep.
Oh man, there's gonna be some pinstripe suits.
It is very broad with what we're saying is a gangster, so anything really gang related. Yeah, so
space pirates could count as a gang.
Could
be a very fun list. So please come back and join us for that later this week. So we're gonna sign off here with a little bit of fun. So give me your Witcher name. Can you think of a Witcher name? What would your name be in the Witcher universe? Emir von Emrys, some flowery, long, Welsh-based name. Can you give something of that? No, I won't put you under the spot to do that. I'm just teasing.
I have a hard no. I had such a hard time. Like, I literally, on my live stream, when I was live streaming Red Dead Redemption, I picked a horse, and I was like, oh, I got to give it a name. And like, it took me like 10 minutes to figure out a name.
A name for the horse. Well, see, bringing it back to The Witcher, Geralt's got that figured out. Every horse he's had is named Roach. It just makes it easy. Just name all your horses Roach from now on. So we're going to sign off for real this time. So I have been Stephanie.
I'm Jared of Level Up.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Cut the check.